Wiltshire, and this is Lifestyle by Design, Not Default video podcast series. Tonight, my guest is Geoff Woods. Geoff, thank you for being here.
What's up, Margaret? How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How is it over there in Austin, Texas?
It is beautiful, beautiful. Just having a great time.
That's awesome. It's raining over here in New York City. So, Geoff, tonight our discussion is about the importance of having a mentor. So, before we jump into the heart of the discussion, let's talk about a little bit about you. I'd like to learn a little bit about you and what led you to doing this. What led you or inspired you to teaching others about finding mentors?
Sure. So my journey really started back at the end of 2013. I've been in medical device sales for the last 5-6 years, and it's been a job that absolutely loved. I wore scrubs every day. I ran through hospitals. I sold a device that actually saved lives, which is really cool. And I was able to make a lot of money doing it. But I think anybody who goes through a transformation, there's a series of defining moments that happen that really change the trajectory of your life. And for me, at the end of 2013, I had a colleague who had a stroke when he was only 35 years old. And that just rocked me to my core, because here I was, married, just had my first child, just bought a house in Orange County. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm the sole provider for my family. What happens to them if something happens to me? I did not like the answer to that question. And then I started thinking, well, what would happen to my family if something happened to this awesome job that I have? Well, ask and you shall receive. The very next week, my company made a change to my commission structure, and overnight they slashed my income by 40%. And imagine, what would your life look like if all of a sudden 40% of your income was just like poof, gone? That's the reality that I had to deal with. And very quickly, my bank account basically hit zero. And I was wondering how I was going to put food on the table, how I was going to pay the mortgage. And that really challenged me as a man. And so I set out to build passive income. And in the process of doing so, I ended up making a lot of mistakes and wasting even more money. And so I finally just put the brakes on and said, all right, what do I need to do this the right way? And then I hear this quote: "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with," from Jim Rohn. I looked at my 5 and I thought, are they where I want to be? And the reality was, while they were great people and they're still in my life, the answer was no. And so I set out on this mission just to tap into a really powerful vein of entrepreneurs. And in less than 6 months, all of a sudden I had some ridiculously heavy hitting mentors. And I started accelerating so fast that I actually started to feel a little bad, because it's like, holy crap. I get to example, and I'll share this not to brag, but more just to show you the power of what can happen if you put intention behind this. I had the guy who was Tony Robbins' executive vice president of sales, literally helped build Tony's company, as one of my mentors. I'm going, not everybody gets to sit down with Gene, but I do. So what if I were to just record these conversations and share them with the world, just as a way of adding value? So I launched the Mentee podcast in January of this year, and in less than 10 months from launching that, I was able to quit my 6-figure sales job and go full-time as an entrepreneur.
So what is the outcome that you want to see when someone listens to your podcast? What is it that you're hoping that they get?
Ultimately, it's first the awareness that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I've talked to a lot of people. I have yet to meet a single person who can look me in the eye and say, Geoff, my 5 is where I want to be. And so first, building that awareness of recognizing that you got to make some changes in your life. You need to truly surround yourself with a new group of people. I'm not saying cut the old people out. They can still be in, but you need to bring a new group in, the people that you actually seek advice from. And then I want to show you practical step-by-step advice on how you can go, not just finding mentors, but I'm talking about forming relationships with the top influencers in your industry.
Okay. So let's backtrack a little bit. Can you define a mentor for me?
Is somebody who has accomplished something that you want to accomplish. They're where you want to be in some facet of your life, and they are willing to lend their experience to help guide you.
Okay. So do you think so when you seek a mentor, I'll hold off on that question. I'm going to ask another question before I jump to that question.
Sure.
Okay. So there's something that's compelling in this person's life. Maybe you want to achieve something they've achieved. And what are the benefits now of having a relationship with them? You mentioned a few, but if you could get into it a little bit more.
Sure. Well, let's make this practical for you. Can we role play?
Yes.
Awesome. So tell me, out of everything that's going on in your life right now, what's that big goal that you have? Where do you actually need the most help right now?
To be quite honest, I would say finance. What I feel I'm lacking is somewhat of an entrepreneurial or maybe a hustler mindset. I don't know where that comes from, but financial. It's the financial area.
So when you say the financial area, what exactly do you mean? What specifically do you need help with when it comes to finances?
So when I say making money,
Mm-hmm.
like, I really admire people who can flip businesses, who are not afraid to jump into something that maybe it's an idea, something that they think it's interesting, build it, maybe flip it and keep going. And that's where I think I get the word hustler comes up. So it's kind of like this hustler mentality, but it's also an entrepreneurial mindset. They know how to make money or creating money.
Sure. And so let's assume that suddenly you had that skill set and that was an area of strength for you. What would you be accomplishing right now that you're not currently able to accomplish?
I love variety. So I'd probably have a bunch of different projects going on. People who know me know that I love variety. I would have maybe, in a perfect world, if it went my way, I would have a lot of freedom. I'd really be able to design my lifestyle around what it is I enjoy doing. So I'd have more time with my family, more freedom to explore different interests, travel more. I'd be able to give more and do more for others.
Okay. So this is going to be good. If this area of finance is the ability to start businesses and create streams of income, you'd have more time with your family. You'd feel like you were in control of your life and your time. You could travel when you wanted to travel. You could experience the experiences you wanted to experience. You could be making the kind of impact you want to be making, right?
Yes.
You got two options right now. You can, just try to figure it out on your own. You can try to figure out how to get good at managing money, how to get good at bringing it in, how to get good at protecting it and investing it. That process, you may actually end up getting there, but it's going to take you a lot of time. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, and you'll frankly waste a lot of money on mistakes that were silly, that you should have never made to begin with. The other option is you can go to that person who was once in your shoes, but who now is financially savvy, who could literally look back at you and say, Margaret, I know exactly where you are. And I can tell you with certainty that you can get to where you want to be. And I know that because I was in your shoes. Let me hold your hand and guide you along the way. Which path do you want to take?
I'll hold your hand and let you guide me along the way.
Exactly. It's amazing. Our entire life up until this point, you've had people to guide you. From the moment you were born, you had your parents. And then when you got into school, you had teachers. If you played sports or a musical instrument, or if you were in clubs, there was a teacher, a coach, a guide of some sort. Yet all of a sudden, when we step out into the professional world, you have a boss, you have a manager maybe. But when it comes to truly chasing your dreams and focusing on the things that you need most, we don't have that support system. That's where the mentor or the coach comes into play. And you have to seek them out. You have to be proactive. But to think that you're just going to get to where you want to be by circumstance, it's not going to happen for you. And I firmly believe that is a very big reason why the vast majority of the people who are watching this cannot look themselves in the mirror and say every single day they're waking up and trading their life for something that is of value. They don't feel like they're trading their life for something of value. And that all changes the moment you start changing who you surround yourself with. You surround yourself with the right people, the people who've already done what you want to do, and they will help you get there.
I totally agree. Wow. So, do you have any crazy stories about finding a mentor?
Yeah, I mean, what kind of crazy stories you want?
Give me the craziest you've got.
I'll take you back to one of my first ones. In that moment when I recognized that I needed to build passive income and I tried to do it on my own, and I said, no, I just got to focus on surrounding myself with the right people. I wanted to get into real estate investing. And so I said, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? So where can I go meet some real estate investors? And I went online and I just typed real estate networking meetings in Orange County. And a bunch of lists popped up. And I was like, holy crap, look at this. That was easy. And I started going. The very first event I went to, the guy gets up there and he says, hey, everybody, thanks so much for coming tonight. Oh, before we begin, and he names the name of this conference, and then he just moves on. And I immediately whip out my iPad and I start Googling the name of that conference, and I'm reading. And in the meantime, I look up and I notice there is not a single other person in the room who has whipped out their phone or their iPad or writing down the name of that event. Everybody just let it roll off their shoulder. I'm going, I feel like that was a gem. How did everybody miss that? And so I get back into my iPad, and it's this networking group, this conference of super high level people who come together with the goal of just enriching each other's lives. And it's invite only. I'm like, this sounds amazing. This sounds just like this book I was reading at the time called 3 Feet from Gold, which was about this guy, Greg. He's down in the dumps and he meets this powerful CEO, John Buckland. And John sees something in Greg that Greg doesn't even see. And he sends him on a trip around the country to meet his friends, the guy who started Chick-fil-A, the guy who started NASCAR, the guy who started the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And when he's in front of each of these titans of their industry, every single one of them is giving their keys to success, the things that truly help make their career. And Greg's journaling them and he's starting to embody them. And, Greg starts to accelerate rapidly. And so I'm looking at this conference going, holy crap, this is just like 3 Feet from Gold. So I send the guy an email and I say, hey, I'd love to learn more about this. I see it's invite only. Can you connect me? The next day I'm on the phone being interviewed. And they say, why do you want to be a part of this group? And I said, have you ever read the book 3 Feet from Gold? And the guy who's interviewing me just starts laughing hysterically. And he goes, hey, Greg, this guy on the phone just asked if I've ever read 3 Feet from Gold. Greg was the author. Oh, wow. This conference was the real conference that was started out of this book. And I had no idea. And I go, okay, this is crazy. Where are you? And they're like, oh, we're in San Diego. Where are you? I go, I'm in Orange County. Can I come meet you next week? Sure. So here I am. I'm sitting in front of Greg, who I perceive to be a very heavy hitter. First words out of his mouth are, what are you working on and how can I help you? And I go, I'm looking to get into real estate investing and I want to meet successful real estate investors. And the guy just sits back in his chair. He starts rocking back and forth. And I can tell the wheels in his head are spinning a little bit. And he goes, you know what? Come to my house tomorrow. I want to introduce you to somebody. And so I went to his house and there he introduced me to this guy named Dave. Dave and I strike up a conversation, form a relationship. I come to find out that Dave has done over 10,000 real estate transactions.
Wow.
10,000. I want to get into real estate. Several months later, because Dave and I had built enough of a relationship, I got a call one day and he goes, hey, I'm taking down a building on the East Coast and I'm looking for some partners. I'd love to mentor you along the way. Why don't you throw some money in the pool, however much you can, come along for the ride. So because one time I opened my mouth and told somebody what I was looking for specifically and with clarity, I had the opportunity to become a partner in a big commercial building on the East Coast. Is that a crazy story for you?
That's crazy. Wow. Fascinating. So tell me, so for the average person who has a dream and they have an idea of something they want to do, or maybe they want to improve their life in a certain way, or maybe there's somebody that they admire that they feel that they can learn a lot of maybe different life lessons from.
Sure.
What is it that, and they're afraid. A lot of us have fear. We have fear that we'll be rejected. We have fear of putting ourselves out there. We might even be intimidated by the status or the success of that this person has achieved. What would that person, that individual who's seeking mentorship, what would they have to let go of in order to take that step?
You have to recognize your limiting beliefs. We all have these things that are in the back of their mind that hold us back, that plant these little seeds of doubt, that reasons that we shouldn't do something. You first have to let go of those. And the number one limiting belief that people have is something along the lines of, they're so successful, why would they talk to me? Why would they give me their time? What could I possibly do or give them that would make it worth their time? They're probably too busy. These are all limiting beliefs. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And what I'll share with you will hopefully change the way you look at things. What I've come to find is that every person who has achieved an extreme level of success has had mentors. I formed a relationship with this guy. His name's Jeff Hoffman. He was on the founding team of Priceline.com. He's worth over $1 billion now. And we were on the phone, and I actually recorded this conversation. I think it was episode 19 of my podcast, The Mentee. And I point blank, you'll hear me ask him, Jeff, why in the world are you on the phone with me? Why are we talking? You're so busy. What the heck are you doing talking to me? And he said he felt it was his obligation to mentor the next generation of entrepreneurs, because he believes that entrepreneurs will change the world. And at one point in time, he had some mentors who were light years ahead of where he was. And at one point in time, they reached back, grabbed his hand, and helped pull him forward. And now it is his obligation to do the exact same thing. So it's not a matter of why would they talk to you? It's a matter of, they're successful. They've had mentors. They are looking to mentor someone else. They are looking for mentees. It's now a matter of, by you just even approaching them, you are giving them the opportunity to mentor you. You are giving them the opportunity to add value to you, which in return adds value to them. Do you follow me there?
I follow you. So now I am focusing on my limiting beliefs, and I decide I'm going to step out of them and I'm going to go for it. How do I find a mentor? Well, I guess, let me rephrase that. I already have an idea of who I would like to approach.
Sure.
What are the steps that I need to take in order to make that connection?
Sure. I'll share what I think are some of the highest leverage ones. Ultimately, if you go to findthebestmentors.com, that's mentors with an S, I have a full 7-step action guide that will show you the 7 easy steps you can take to meet the top 7 influencers in your industry. But out of that action guide, I want to discuss the few really, really important ones that you could stop watching this, go take action, and get results. The first thing you got to do is recognize a mentor serves you best in their area of expertise. I wanted to get in real estate investing. I wasn't going to go hunt down people who were experts in mergers and acquisitions or experts in stock investing. I wanted specifically real estate investors. So let's role play with you again, Margaret. You said that you need help with finances. Describe the ideal person to me who could mentor you.
Warren Buffett.
Okay, perfect. So you named a specific person. Describe Warren Buffett to me.
Describe him. He lives humbly. He is not an extravagant person as far as what's out there that I've learned about him, but he has a very good business sense. And he seems to, in addition to the numbers, he makes it his business to talk to people about the business that he's interested in. And he seems to be a little bit hands-on, and he talks a lot to people to see how things go. So I get that he might be like a people person. And those are things that I admire about him, in addition to his great business sense.
Okay. So now let's do this. Let's boil that down. Describe Warren Buffett to me in one sentence.
Genius?
Just one word, one sentence, woman.
Warren Buffett he's a hustler.
So let me help you here.
Okay.
And it's okay if you have a specific person that you want to target, but I'll strongly advise you to detach yourself from the outcome. You may perceive or think that this one specific person should be your mentor. They may not be the right person, but more, what is it about that person that attracts you to them, and be able to describe that. So example, you're looking for somebody who has an incredible business acumen, who really understands the power of money, but doesn't live a lavish lifestyle. They're down to earth. They're humble. And they focus on building relationships with people, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You got that clarity. And for anybody who's watching or listening to this, I did this very specifically because I want you to be able to go through this process as well. Out of everything that's going on in my life, where do I need the most help right now? You get that area that you need help. Now, who is the ideal person who could guide me and be able to describe them in one sentence? Now it's a matter, of talking about it. One of my mentors shared that 80% of everything you need is already within your circle of influence. Think about that. 80% of everything that you need to be successful, you can already find within the connections you have. So now it's a matter of how do you tap into your existing connections? And this is where I'll really help. You say, what's going on? What's new? What's up? And they say, not much. What's up with you? And you say, not much. And then the conversation continues. That's most of our conversations. Here's your opportunity. When they ask you what's going on, what's new, instead of saying not much, you say, a lot recently. I have recently just committed that I need to get better with my finances, and I'm looking to meet some people who are down to earth, but really understand business and understand how to make money and understand people. And you zip your mouth. Did I ask you for anything there, Margaret?
No.
No. But here's what happens. In that moment, one of four things can happen. The first is that the person that you just shared that with happens to be that person, and you just didn't know it. Now, maybe that's not the case. Likely it's not the case because you know these people. The second thing is that they may know that person. You maybe think, I challenge people all the time to pick up their phone and call their best friend and tell them where they need help. And they're like, why would I tell my best friend? I know they can't help me. I'll call you on that. They may not help you directly, but they may know somebody who can. And in that moment, when you share where you need help, something's going to go off in their mind and they would consider making that connection. Okay, well, let's say they're not the person and they don't know the person. The other thing that you've done, and this is option 3, is that you've planted a seed in their mind. Every single day we meet new people. And as they continue to meet new people and form new relationships, if they come across that person, I promise you, something's going to go off in their mind and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, Margaret was talking about that. And in that moment, they will consider making that connection. Otherwise, the fourth option is they do absolutely nothing, at which point, what did you lose by sharing it? Nothing. This is tremendously, tremendously powerful. If I can leave you with one action, get clear on where you need help, and then commit to talking about it consistently. I already told you the story. The first time I ever shared where I needed help, looking to get into real estate investing, I ended up having a partnership opportunity. Very first time. And it has happened to me time and time again. And for all the people that I coach and who follow my podcast, it just works. It just does.
Okay. So now I know what my problem is. I know where I'm going. When would be the best time to approach this person?
Now.
Okay.
Now. Yesterday. I mean, here's the deal. I don't consider myself to be special. All of my mentors, if you ask them, they don't necessarily consider themselves to be special either. The difference between us and everybody else is that in that moment when we have this desire, we don't think about it. We take action. We take action. It's that simple. What separates you from anyone else and your success is your ability not to have an idea, but your ability to execute on the idea. So I'm telling you, I have just laid out something for you that is more powerful than you probably realize. Yet I know that probably 99% of the people who are watching this will not implement it. And you wonder why there's such a big gap in terms of the wealth distribution in this country. It's because certain people are willing to take action and others are not. Now, of course, there's other circumstances that come into play and we can open up that whole dialogue. But at the end of the day, are you willing to act? And if the answer is no, then you just don't have a big enough why associated with it.
Okay. Now, Geoff, how do I get to Warren?
Warren specifically, I'm going to tell you good luck. Here's the deal. All the time people ask me, how can I get to Warren Buffett? How can I get to Tim Ferriss? How can I, they name a specific person. The answer is, I don't necessarily know. I can certainly strategize with you on ways that you could possibly. Here's one: buy a share of Berkshire Hathaway stock. You'll be invited to their meeting every single year where he's in the room. When he's on stage, as he's about to come off stage, make sure you are right there at the base of at the stage, waiting to shake his hand. You think I'm kidding? That's how I've gotten half of my mentors.
Okay.
I went to a conference that was in an area of my interest, and when that person was on stage, as they came off stage, I was there. And I shook their hand and I engaged them in a conversation. You and I met at Experts Academy. Brendan Burchard and I are talking on Tuesday.
Wow.
What's the difference? What's the difference between, and not to put you on the spot, but we were in the same room. You had the same opportunity as me. The difference was when he told everybody to get up and break out into a group of 5 and start working on an exercise, I made a beeline for the stage. And by the time his foot got off those stairs and hit the ground, I was standing right there. And I said, Brendan, quick question. And as soon as his eyes locked on mine, I had him. And then it was a matter of me just being able to capture his attention and find a way to add value to him quickly, which I did. Now we're talking.
Wow. I'm impressed because I somewhat tried that and it didn't work. You know, he had a pretty good exit.
Yeah, you mean his security guards that were right there blocking them? Yeah, I got blocked. And this was hilarious. I didn't see the security guards. So here Geoff comes. Here's Brendan, security guard, who went right in between us and like fully like stepped in front of me. And I see Brendan's little head over here, and I go, and at that point I shoved my arm out past the security guard's shoulder and went, Brendan, quick question for you. At that point, I had broken the plane of the security guard. His eyes locked on me, and I said, I'm Geoff Woods. I'm the host of a top business podcast, The Mentee. Quick question. When was the last time you were interviewed for Entrepreneur Magazine?
Okay.
I asked a question that would clearly intrigue him. And then I leveraged the fact that I write for Entrepreneur as a way to get in front of him. And you may be thinking, oh, Geoff, I don't write for Entrepreneur. I don't have a podcast. Guess what? I didn't start a podcast or writing for Entrepreneur to make money. I did it as a networking tool because I knew it would help me get access to people I would not have access to otherwise. I took action and I thought outside the box.
Geoff, you're freaking brilliant.
There it is.
I love this.
You're a tough nut to crack, but I was like, I'm going to break you down.
I love this. This is stuff that you can't get anywhere. This is, I mean, really what happens. And it really is what divides those, like you said, those who make it and those who don't. It's action and it's getting past your fear. And to be honest with you, I try that, but I was really fearful. I was fearful of security. I did see those big dudes standing there. By the way, I'm interviewing one of them next month. He wrote a book.
Was it the big guy with the muscles? Was it Mel?
No, not Mel. Anthony Trucks.
Okay, that's funny.
And I'm going to be interviewing him about his book. So I did manage to land an interview with his bodyguard, who actually is an entrepreneur. But I was fearful and I let fear stop me, you know, so I am happy that you shared that with me because the next time I'm going to channel my inner Geoff. So I'm going to remember what you said, Geoff.
So here's one cool thing that I did because I got invited to Experts Academy by a listener of my podcast named Robert Murray. And when I did that, Robert's one of Brendan's certified high performance coaches, and he's talked about how he's just dreamed of meeting Brendan and having a conversation with Brendan. And I'm going, interesting. Let me go do it. So I went and I talked to Brendan, got him confirmed to do an interview. I came and sat back down. Rob comes and sits next to me. I go, guess what I just did? He goes, what? I go, I just booked Brendan for an interview. And he goes, no, not possible. I go, yeah, possible. He goes, no, not possible. In that moment, I recognized here's a guy who has followed me, who's purchased my courses that show you how to do all this. And he's sitting right next to me. Every single day, at the end of the day, we started recording his thoughts of what he observed me do and the things that he was learning, watching me in action. The stuff that I teach in my course, I was doing in action. And that became episode 51 of my podcast. So if this kind of stuff is interesting to you, of how you work a room when you're actually at a live event, we documented it at the end of every day. And that was episode 51 of the Mentee. So check that out.
Okay, I'm going to check that out. Thank you so much. So, question for you.
Okay, ball buster. Yeah, I got your number now.
So I have realized that there is somewhat of a trend now where people pay for mentors.
Hmm.
I don't know what that's about really, but my idea of having a mentor is that there's this relationship. So you seek the person that you desire,
Hmm.
that, you seek them out, and there should be some sort of connection that somewhat happens organically.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on paying for something like this?
I think mentorship has nothing to do with the exchange of money, whether it happens or not. A mentor is somebody who's where you want to be, who guides you. Now, there are certainly some of my closest mentors, most meaningful relationships, they happened organically, over time. It's not like I popped down on one knee and was like, will you be my mentor? Because that answer is no, just so you know. It's like saying, hi, you're successful. I want to be successful. Will you give me some of your free time? The answer is no. Okay.
Okay.
But there are times when, hey, if you recognize that there's a person who is where you want to be and you're willing to compensate them for their time so that they can help you, by all means. And I have done that as well. Works in both ways. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just a matter of what's right for you.
Okay. So are there any other out of the way, maybe you do have some suggestions on other out of the box thinking of how you can possibly, you mentioned your podcast, you mentioned writing for entrepreneur.com. What other suggestions might you have that might be a bit outside the box?
For somebody to get in front of people?
Yes.
I think, the thing that you're describing there is the concept of just becoming a reporter. You can start a blog. You can start a YouTube channel. You can be writing a book. You could be doing interviews for a case study. It doesn't matter what it is. Turn yourself into a reporter. And then when you approach people, you're feeding their ego by saying, hey, I'd love to interview you. I booked the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the guy who invented email, Bruce Buffer from UFC, the host of UFC, all the UFC fights, before I even had a podcast. I had nothing. And I approached them saying, hi, I'm Geoff Woods. I'm launching a podcast and I'd like to feature you. Great. What's the show called? I don't know yet. When's it airing? Sometime in the next few months. I'd love for you to be one of my first people. Okay, cool.
That's pretty freaking awesome.
It's just, this is just such a game of confidence and taking action. It's so easy. It's just a matter of you getting over yourself, getting out of your own way, and just doing it.
I agree. So how would you handle, this is a personal question here. This came from, there are a couple of people that I've reached out to, right? That I admire that are doing things and was curious and wanted to interview them. And the first thing they hit me with was, what are your stats?
Fair. And this is, I've got mixed emotions about this because now that I'm getting busier and busier, I am legitimately starting to look at my time saying, hey, I cannot do 20 interviews a week. I just can't. I have to be more judicious with my time. At the same time, like, I don't care if you have 15,000 downloads an episode or 200 downloads an episode. At the end of the day, if you're 200 downloads an episode, there's 200 people who are going to listen to me right now, who I get to add value to, who I get the opportunity. You're giving me the opportunity to impact their lives. That's pretty cool for me. You're going to find people like that who just don't care, and they're going to do it for you. There are going to be other people who they're going to care about that. And you know what? Be honest with them. Tell them. And if they got a problem with that, I don't know. That's on them. But oftentimes I don't get that question because I think I position myself in a different way. When I reach out, I often, first and foremost, mention the way that their content has made an impact on me and why I'm grateful for them. And I thank them very clearly. I'll say first and foremost, thank you. I took your course on X, Y, and Z. It made a tremendous impact in my relationship with my wife. So really, honestly, thank you. I have to acknowledge you for that. I have a podcast. I have a highly engaged community. I'd love to spread your message. Is there anything specific that you're needing help getting promotion for right now? How can I help you? If a podcast interview would suit you, I'd love to have you on. If not, let me know how I can serve you. That email does not get a response saying, how big are your download numbers? Make sense?
Makes sense. Does make a lot of sense. So, tell me,
You tell me.
what do you think about mastermind groups? This is
Losing you.
about mastermind groups?
Sorry. So what do you think about mastermind groups? Keep going.
Okay. What do I think about mastermind groups?
I think they're vital.
I love the switch here.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that they are absolutely vital.
Okay.
Napoleon Hill first talked about them in Think and Grow Rich long freaking time ago. The importance of having a mastermind, the importance of having a group of people who are in a similar situation to you, who have the same big goals as you, who you guys can come together on a regular basis, collaborate, and expand together. I think it's absolutely vital. And if you don't have one, you need to find one stat.
Okay. How can someone go about creating a mastermind group?
Really good question. You talk about it consistently. You know, I would make I went through this. I made a list of people that I respected who were from different backgrounds as me, professionally, values wise. And I would just start talking to them about my thirst for personal development and wanting to make changes and see who it really resonated with. And ultimately I found people were like, oh yeah, they were just as into it as I was. And I brought them together and we formed something.
Okay. How many people, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
How many people do you think, or what's a good number, good amount of people to have in a mastermind group?
I say, see, here's the thing. I think if you want to meet on a regular basis, people are busy. You got to keep it to an hour. And with that, I think groups of like 4 to 6, you might start with 8, knowing very well that not everybody's going to be as committed and they're going to fall off. And maybe you end up with a really highly engaged group of 4 people, which would be great.
Okay.
Maybe 5.
Okay. And what have you found to be the most important thing, or what's the biggest value that you take away from a mastermind group?
Accountability, 100%, because this is a group that you get to open up to, that everything stays in that group, and you get to share, you really pour your soul out and say where you need help. And for them to be able to help you identify what you need to work on between now and the next time you meet, and they hold you accountable, because you know very well, if you come back 2 weeks from then and you haven't taken action, they're going to call you out. And nobody likes that. And so that motivates people. And accountability is often the thing that's really lacking in people's lives. It's why a lot of people are overweight, because when they're reaching for that extra cookie, there's not somebody that's like, really? Seriously? You just talked about how you're overweight and how you're worried about getting diabetes and you're reaching for the freaking cookie. What's wrong with you? You need those people in your life.
Okay. All right. You made me, my other question just went out. You made me laugh and you threw.
Bam.
Okay.
You know, you put on this front like you're such a tough cookie, but you're just a sweetheart inside. I can see it.
Oh, thank you. Do I come off tough? I don't think I'm tough. I don't think I come off tough.
So, Margaret, let me ask you.
Go ahead, shoot.
No, I'm kidding. You go.
Oh, okay. All right. So I have been seeing around like it's another thing that I've been seeing, paid for mastermind groups. Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on that?
I think, again, this is a matter of what's right for you. I personally have spent a lot of money on those types of things, because the type of people who are, number one, willing to invest potentially thousands of dollars, their commitment, they're serious people. They want to make a change. I find that the people who are able to afford those have achieved a certain level of success that affords them the opportunity to participate in those. And I have, even in times when I necessarily couldn't afford it as much as I would have liked to, I stretched and made it happen. And that's how I've been able to get into in front of some ridiculously heavy-hitting people and form relationships with them. And that has paid itself back more than tenfold.
Okay. So Geoff, tell me, Who has inspired you the most on this journey?
You know, that's a tough question because I've been surrounded by so many amazing people, and they kind of all have played their role in one way or another. The mentor that I've interacted with the most, who and from that I could probably say has made the biggest impact. His name's Dave Meltzer. And if you've ever have you seen the movie Jerry Maguire?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so Jerry Maguire in real life was based on a firm called Lee Steinberg Entertainment, and at the time it was the largest sports agency in the world. That's why they did the movie. It was because like Lee was Jerry Maguire. He was the show me the money guy, and Lee ended up going through some personal troubles, and Dave stepped in as CEO of that company. So Dave was the CEO of the largest sports agency in the world, very heavy hitter, and I had the fortune of meeting him at an event, high-end mastermind that I paid a lot of money to be in. And Dave was there, and we hit it off, and we meet every single 2 weeks. And he has really expanded my mind in terms of what is possible. And I owe a lot of my success to him.
Okay. What has been for you your biggest challenge?
Staying connected. As you start to surround yourself with people on a completely different level, and not in like a they're better than you level, but just they've achieved so much more. They're going to expand your mind in terms of what is possible. They're going to expand the way you look at the world. And it's like you see color for the first time, but then you go back and start hanging out with your friends and they're seeing in black and white. They just haven't seen the color yet. And it's very hard to go back to black and white once you've seen color, if that makes sense. So being able to stay in relationship with people who mean so much to me, but just their mind is not, I don't even think it's fair to say as evolved. We just think a different game, if that makes sense. I'm playing chess and they're playing checkers.
Totally. I'm with you there. I understand.
And I love checkers.
But, you've gone on to something a little bit more challenging and offers more growth.
Right.
Okay. So what did you personally have to let go of? You mentioned a little bit before, but what were some of the things that you had to come to terms with in yourself and draw the line in the sand and say, okay, I'm going in this direction and I've got to let go all of this stuff behind? What were some of those things?
It was twofold. Number one was the level of interaction with people that I really cared about so much. I'm talking about best friends who I talked with every single day that now I talk to once every 3 weeks. And that's painful, but it's a matter of me having to be who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? I needed to create space to bring more people in, people who could guide me. So unfortunately, having to distance myself just to create space, number one. But number two, in episode 50 of my show, I interviewed my wife, because people think that this journey of starting your own company and becoming an entrepreneur is so glamorous. They don't see the toll that it takes on a marriage. And so Amy and I opened the kimono, and we talked about the toll that this has taken in our life. She talked about the fact that the number of times that she wakes up to me in the morning or falls asleep to me at night for an entire month combined, she can count on one hand.
Wow.
People don't see that. They don't see the hours when I'm up at 5 a.m. hustling from 5 to 7 and then focusing on my day job. And then when I'm home and after the baby's to bed, when I just want to sit down on the couch and connect with my wife and watch a movie and cuddle, because I love to cuddle and I am the teaspoon and she's the tablespoon. I have to be back in my office and working again till 10 or 11 at night. And when I really need 8 hours of sleep, I can only get 5. Because I have to work that many hours to get this thing up and running. People don't see the sacrifice that comes. Yet you talk to anybody who has achieved an extraordinary level of success in their life, and at one point in time, they had to make sacrifices. And they were willing to do it because their vision was so big. They were so committed to seeing that happen that there was no choice. They did it. And they reaped the benefits because of it. So if you are unwilling to make those sacrifices, that's okay. That's a personal choice for you, but don't be surprised if you are not getting the extraordinary results.
Okay. What's on the horizon for you?
Well, I quit my day job a week and a half ago.
Woohoo! Congratulations!
Thank you. What ended up happening through this process, I developed the habit of surrounding myself with great people and just constantly looking for ways to add value to them. And what happened was, have you ever read the book, The One Thing?
No, haven't even heard of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, write that down immediately. It's called The One Thing, and it's about the surprisingly simple truth behind extraordinary results. And have you ever heard of the real estate company Keller Williams?
No.
Okay. Have you heard of like Remax or Prudential or Berkshire
Yes.
Hathaway? Okay. Yes. Keller Williams is bigger than all of them. It is the largest real estate company in the world. This guy named Gary Keller started the company. Guy's very wealthy. We'll leave it at that. Gary's passion is mentoring other people, education. Oh. And so he and his partner, Jay, wrote a bunch of books. The One Thing is one of them. And this was like Gary's secret sauce to like, how does he actually execute his days? How does he plan his time? What's the surprisingly simple truth behind extraordinary results coming from the guy who's built a multi-billion-dollar company? What ended up happening is because I just sought to surround myself with great people, I ended up connecting with Jay, his partner. I ended up adding value to Jay on a consistent basis. And now I am actually physically sitting in Jay's office as we record this. And I just moved to Austin, Texas, and I am partnering with Gary and Jay to start a publishing company.
Wow.
So
congratulations.
That is the testimonial of what happens when you level your influencers in your life up. The opportunities that are created. If you had asked me 10 months ago when I launched my podcast, if I thought I'd be able to go from employee to entrepreneur and have the opportunity to partner with a guy like Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, I would have told you you're out of your freaking mind. But I'm like, literally, I'm physically in his office. I'm sitting in his chair right now.
I don't know what else to say. I'm just like in awe. I'm so inspired. And I am grateful and happy that I connected with you.
Boom.
Boom. That's pretty awesome.
So there you go.
Wow. I'm so happy for you. That is really awesome. You took action.
There you go.
You did not let your fears hold you back. And this is what it's all about. You know, there's magic on the other side of our comfort zone, isn't there?
That's where the growth happens.
Yeah. And you know, this is the purpose of doing this podcast for me, Lifestyle by Design and Not Default. It's because I want others to see that individuals, you know, once you take control of what you can take control of, you can replace disempowering beliefs with empowering ones. You can make a decision. That's all it is to make a decision and commit to that decision and to cross that line. This is what can happen, you know, and you go after what it is you want. And I mean, more things open up to you than you even realize. You just said you would have never guessed, you know, that you would have had these opportunities.
Nope.
This is what it's all about for me. It's sharing stories like this.
I love it. You know? So here's the deal. I mean, for anybody who's still listening to us blab on here, 51 minutes into this call, clearly this has resonated with you. And I want you to know that first and foremost, I honor you because you just made an investment of your most valuable resource, your time. Your time is your most valuable resource. And you just invested an hour of it in Margaret and me. And I don't take that lightly. So what I want to do to help make sure that you get a return on your investment, and Margaret, you can probably put this up there. If you go to findthebestmentors.com, When you go there, you're going to see an opportunity to get this action guide that I put together for you. It is the 7 easy steps you can take to meet the top 7 influencers in your industry. Now, here's what's going to happen. That guide will get you results. I then created this course called Connect with 7 Amazing People in 7 Days or Less. I charge $97 for it. If you go and you put your email in right now, when you hit that next page, I will give you that course for free.
Wow.
And it will hold your hand for 7 days and help you engage your existing network to start to connect with the people that you need in your life. But again, I am all about the taking action. So you have to do this now. Go do it. And if there's any way I can support you, you'll have my email. Once you put your email address in, let me know.
That's awesome. The offer is up there. So the link, just click on the link.
Beautiful.
Hey, so tell me quickly, what led you to create this course?
I got on the phone with over 100 of my podcast listeners with the sole purpose of figuring out what their pain was. How do I find a mentor? And I started to ask, what is the pain associated with this? Why do you feel like you need a mentor? And they told me. And ultimately, they asked me to create this content. And so I did. And I collaborated with them. I pre-sold it to them. People put money up in advance. And I created the content with them. They helped me craft the modules. I released it to them. They gave me feedback. I made enhancements on it based on their feedback. And I got their testimonials. And because of that, I've been able to develop a full suite of products, starting from that action guide all the way to my flagship product, creating a 7-figure network that holds your hand step by step as you literally surround yourself with 7-figure earners. So yeah, go ahead. Come on in. So yeah, that's it was all created by the people, for the people, by the people.
Awesome. Awesome. So it is tradition here on Lifestyle by Design, not Default, that our guests give 3 action steps, 3, that individuals who are watching this podcast can implement into their life right away.
Sure. Number 1, physically on a piece of paper or on your phone, write or type out the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And then ask yourself the tough question, are they where you want to be? And then once you're willing to just drop your ego and be like, oh, I need to make a change in my 5, Geoff, I want you to download that action guide, because you can try to remember all this, but I told you, there's a lot of things involved here that we just didn't have time to cover tonight. The guide will hold your hand step by step, and just take action. Take action. And it's not a matter of nailing it all in one day. It's a matter of developing the habit of every single day just taking one little action. It could take 30 seconds. It could take 5 minutes. Just get it done every single day. And when you do that, those little steps, they add up very, very, very fast.
I don't know what's happening over here.
Is that tradition as well to finish the episode?
No, with me dying? No. No. So Geoff Woods, I want to thank you very much for your time and for sharing your knowledge and experience and for living your message. I honor you for that. My throat is still tickling me. Excuse me.
Oh man, we were having a moment too.
I'm sorry. Did that ruin the moment?
Nope, I'm pretty easy.
Okay. So I really want to honor you and I thank you, because I think that this is so important. It really helps to cut the learning curve, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel sometimes, and propels us forward quicker.
Yep. Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And woohoo! Thanks for being here, everyone.
Nice work.
Have a great night.